Cecil, also known as Clove from High Street Paranormal. Apparently, someone that he knows was going to out him in an upcoming video, so he decided to do his own video first, trying to get the jump on whatever it was that was going to be released. What you will be hearing and seeing is that video which Cecil made. We'll be going through it together. Prepare yourself.
West Coast, baby.
Let me talk to y'all today, man. I didn't want to address this because, you know, the videos that came up about Clove was...
So we start off with the classic, I didn't want to address this. And then you speak of yourself in the third person. Interesting.
6 years ago? Going on 7 years ago, guys.
Okay, so it was 6 or so years ago.
But I feel like it needs to be addressed because there's still people coming at me asking me questions, man. I feel like since I know I'm innocent, I don't need to speak on it.
You feel like it needs to be addressed to establish your story first because someone was going to out you. And if you were innocent, you wouldn't need to do this video. You just wouldn't speak on it. But you had to do this video because you were going to get outed.
I ain't got to explain myself, man.
Then don't.
I'm not guilty, you know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean. Do tell.
If I was guilty, I'd be out there trying to explain myself every day.
Which is what you've been doing.
I didn't want to bring it up because the girls that I was supposed to have done this to never came public and never said this to the public.
You didn't want to bring it up, but you had to bring it up because you were going to get outed. It's nothing to do with whether or not the girls were going to come out. This is you doing damage control before the event.
Never accused me of what these people were accusing me of.
So the girls that you were supposedly doing something to have never come forward and accused you of doing said thing. I'd like to add yet, because they're only young, and when they grow up, they might decide to report you, and I would encourage them to do so if said thing is true.
So I felt I should have enough respect in that aspect and not speak on it no matter what rapper says what.
And yet, here you are speaking on it and continuously speaking on it, video after video after video.
But I feel like it needs to be said.
Well, if you feel it needs to be said.
Because I think it's stopping me in a lot of cases when it comes to my support that I get musically.
You think? Duh.
So I feel like it's necessary after 6 years.
See, what you're doing here is attempting to justify this video that you're making and why you're coming out about it. But we all see through that because you're trying to jump ahead of the train and steer it, which doesn't seem to have worked.
I've addressed this before, but I took those videos down because, like I said, I don't feel like it needs to be addressed because I ain't got to explain myself to nobody about anything.
Well, you just keep going ahead with not explaining anything to us.
For one, let me explain something.
Or not.
I am not on the sex offenders list.
Yet.
Don't you think if I was a child molester, I would have been charged or something?
If caught and if prosecuted, sure. There's still time.
Right?
If you say so.
Let me tell you something else.
Okay, tell me something else.
The guy Intense, in which, don't get me wrong, I ain't got no beef with Intense. I support Intense's music.
So you've got no beef with this guy called Intense, yet here you are doing a video because of that guy.
Shout out to 4 Block and everything. Like I said, I'm not trying to bring up old beefs.
Oh yeah, let's do a shout out. Shout out to Riley from Order of Magnitude and a shout out to Random News.
And Intense dissed me back in the day and shit, but supposedly we squashed the beef.
Supposedly.
And we were supposed to do music together, which I don't care if we do or not. I'm not pressed about that kind of shit. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
But my point is we were supposed to have made up. We were supposed to get past the dumb shit.
I wonder if you're calling the dumb shit fiddling with underage girls. Just pondering.
And, you know, so hopefully everything's cool. Because I've done seen Intense numerous times out there in the public, and he ain't never said a word to me.
So?
Never threatened me, never disrespected me. He just went on about his way, and I went on about mine.
So?
I'm not doing this to bring attention to Mitch Rice, a.k.a. Intense, a four-block of Covington, Kentucky hip-hop.
Another shout-out. It's almost as if you're attempting to kiss ass.
By the way, you guys should go check out his music. He's a really good artist. I support local rap artists, especially in my own city. I feel like any artist that's from my own city who is good, they're part of my family too. I support you because my city made me who I am today. And therefore, if you're part of my city and you rep my city, you're my people too, and I support you, regardless of how you feel about me. That's just the kind of person that I am.
Okay, now that the ass kissing is out of the way, let's get to the crux of the issue. Come on, spit it out.
But anyway, now that we got that out of the way, the fact that I'm not here to roast up any old beefs or I'm not here to diss Intense. Like I said, I support the guy, and he's a good dad, and he's a good person.
Yeah. Okay, so you love the guy that you heard was going to out you. You've prefaced this video long enough. Get on with it.
For the most part that I know of him, because I don't know him personally from the streets. I just know him from online.
He's just an online buddy, but you don't really know him. But you love him and you support him, even though he's outed you with this kiddie fiddling stuff that you still haven't gotten into.
I don't hang out with the guy. I don't know his people, whatever, this and that. But I'm here to address the rumors.
Oh, good. Let's hope you do, because no one gives a flying fuck about your relationship with Intense. Just what you did with the young girls.
When I was 16, 17 years old, I was staying with my mom's.
When you were 16, 17.
And I'm not going to throw out any names, really, because I don't want to put anybody on the spot.
Oh, no, we wouldn't want to put anybody on the spot like you've been put.
To make them feel like that they have to come and make a video and throw me under the bus or anything like that. Like I said, I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here to clear my name and explain what happened.
Now, I could have cut this all out and got to the main point, but the problem here is, if you do that, Cecil will come back with a video saying that you've taken it out of context and twisted his words and rearranged his words. So this is why I haven't cut anything out. I've just paused.
Since it's out there in the public, since Intense has got it out there in the public that about this so-called kid thing.
This so-called kid thing is kind of fucking important, but it's nice to see how you're trying to downplay it.
I think it's my responsibility as a rap artist, a public figure, a spokesman of the city, to speak on it and explain it.
Gee, you think a lot of yourself.
Because it's stopping me from getting features. It's stopping me from getting venues, shows. It's stopping people from really even giving my music a chance at all. Simply because of the rumor.
Really? You're blaming the rumor for your failures? I'm sorry, but I don't think the rumor has anything to do with your lack of success. I think your lack of success is because of your lack of talent.
Guys, okay? And they don't even know. First off, let me tell you this. Intense don't know me. He don't know me from the streets. We didn't grow up together. He don't know my peoples.
Stop stalling. You've been over this.
He might know a few of my family members, whatever, but he don't know me personally. So when he went and did those videos and spoke on me, it was all because I said I was Covington, Kentucky hip-hop king, because I was saying that I was a king of Covington rap.
Really? You expect us to swallow that? You expect us to believe that the only reason this guy came out to out you for kiddie fiddling was because you turned around and said, I'm the king of Kentucky rap. Fuck off, idiot.
because at that time I was in the process of making a mixtape, Kentucky Boy mixtape.
No one cares. Get to the point.
And I was going to get all the best Kentucky rap artists on the mixtape.
You know what you're doing here, Cecil? It's called spinning shit. You're spinning shit hoping that it distracts. But luckily, I'm here to keep it on track. You might be able to fool some people that, well, let's be frank, share your IQ. But most people see through this bullshit, and most people like me get annoyed when dickheads like yourself spin shit to try to distract or soften what they did. In a way, it's kind of like you're trying to misdirect.
And everybody was going to be considered a king, but the mixtape never came about.
Of course it didn't come about. Like everything else you've tried, you failed at it.
The mixtape never came about. So therefore, with the whole Cover to Kentucky Hip Hop King thing, had everything to do with the mixtape that was coming out with all the kings of Covington hip hop, all the main bigger rappers of Covington hip hop.
No one cares, mate.
It never happened, so now it looks like be the king of Covington, Kentucky hip hop. It's not the case.
No one cares.
Let me break it down to you real quick before I go get my daughter off the bus.
You're going to break it down for us real quick? So far, you've said nothing. You've told us back when you were 16, 17, and around 6 to 7 years ago. That's it. That's all you fucking said.
So everybody knows the truth.
Oh, hallelujah. We're about to get the truth. This is where the video should have started.
When I was 15, 16, and 17, I lived with my aunt.
Okay, so whilst you were 15, 16, and 17, you lived with your aunt.
My mom's cousin, actually, but I consider her my aunt.
Okay, your mum's cousin, but you considered her your aunt.
She had 2 daughters who I would babysit, who was like 5 or 6 years younger than me and my brothers and sisters.
So your aunt, or rather your mum's cousin, had 2 daughters 5 to 6 years younger than you, which you used to babysit.
We all know how kids are when they're young and underage.
Do we? Do we? I don't know. You tell us, how are kids when they're underage?
And they don't have good parenting and they're not watched all the time. And technically, they're not even my mom's cousins, so we're not even blood related.
What's that got to do with anything? That's almost like you're trying to justify some kind of relationship with this relative. You know, like you're trying to say it's not incest because... So why would you even say that? Why would you go there?
And I don't want my so-called cousin to think I'm throwing out her business like that or trying to make her look bad. So I'm not going to say her name, the girl I was accused of. So I'm not going to say her name. I'm just going to tell you what happened.
Oh, are you sure? Are you sure you're going to tell us? Because we've been waiting.
Me, her, and her sister was doing shit behind our parents' back because we were rebelling preteens, right?
Wrong. You weren't preteen. You were a teenager given the task of babysitting, the responsibility of babysitting children, underaged children.
Sorry, got food in my teeth. Huh. Got a little food. Oh, well, I'll get it out in a minute. Well, we were doing shit behind our parents' back. We were doing sexual shit.
We were doing sexual shit behind our parents' back. You mean you were doing sexual shit with children behind your parents' back? You were taking advantage of your position of power and trust.
And them girls approached me with this shit.
Oh, fuck off. Firstly, you really expect people to believe that 8, 9 and 10-year-olds are going to approach you, some fucking ugly wanker that's part of the family, and turn around and say, "Oh, Uncle Cecil, I want you." That's not how children are, you fucking asshole. And 2, you are blaming the children for you getting busted, molesting them? I swear to God, if you were in front of me, I would have knocked the shit out of you by now. You fucking asshole. Seriously, Cecil, you should be so ashamed of yourself. You should be so disgusted in yourself.
I feel like them girls were molested because they were approaching me and my brother.
Oh, was that a Freudian slip? I think so. And to bring your brother into it, so you're attempting to share the blame. Fucking despicable.
Joey with it, like messing with us. Well, we were babysitting them because we were preteens. We wasn't 18. We were all underage, to be technical with you guys.
No. Stop muddying the water. You were teenagers. They were children.
So how can an underage kid be a child molester, first and foremost?
Did you just hear what you said? Seriously, did you? How can an underage kid be a child molester? You weren't an underage kid. You were a teenager. Stop trying to do mental gymnastics because it's just not your forte.
All right. So when my so-called sister seen me so-called molest her in her sleep.
So your sister busted you molesting these girls when they were sleeping, and you're saying that that was a lie, but your sister busted you. And then we learn later on, I think in another video, that she threw a bottle at your head or some shit like that. I think that's pretty conclusive. If your sister seen you doing this and they were sleeping, then they couldn't have provoked you to molest them. And you're just saying that's a lie because you don't want the truth out there. So obviously your sister has to lie. So your sister's a liar. You've involved your brother in this molestation of kids. Your family must really fucking hate you. And I don't blame them.
And while we were asleep is a lie because, like I told you, me and those girls and my brother and her sister were all, we knew we was not related, and we were all doing sexual shit behind our parents' backs.
So you're admitting to doing sexual shit behind your parents' back, but you're just not seeing that they are children and you are teenagers. You're attempting to muddy the water to attempt to lessen the blow of what you've done. And you don't understand why people think you're a sick cunt.
And when I got busted doing things with her sexually.
When you got busted doing things with her sexually, right? When you got busted by your sister,
that us as underage kids.
Again, you're not underage kids. They are. You're not.
We're allowing each other to do one night.
Do you realize what you've just said? That us as underage kids were allowing each other to do one night. So what you're saying is kids can consent to sex. That's what you're saying. And you were not a kid. You were a teen.
My sister, who didn't know any better, thought I was violating her.
Your sister, who didn't know any better. I think she knew better. She knew what you were doing. And if she thought you were violating her, then as a woman that obviously knows what you're up to, I would side with your sister and say that she's right. She saw you and busted you violating her. And let's not forget that you were doing this when she was asleep. So when this child was asleep, you were molesting and you got busted. These are your words, mate. I am putting your words on the screen here. I'm not reinterpreting them.
which it wasn't the case. I wasn't doing anything she didn't want me to do. She told me to do it.
So you're trying to tell us that an 8, 9, 10-year-old told you, instructed you, gave consent to you to molest them whilst they were sleeping, no less.
My sister didn't know that part. She just seen it for the first time and found out about it for the first time.
She just found out for the first time. She just saw it for the first time. Hold on to that. Make a mental bookmark, because I'm going to come back to this.
And she assumed that I was doing something that the girl didn't know about.
The girl, the child, wouldn't know about this unless someone told them about it, introduced them to it, and groomed them for it whilst they were their babysitter. We'll get back to this.
First impression, that's what she thought. 2 years later.
2 years later.
So my sister was going around saying I was a child molester, even though I was a child anyways. And
so your sister was going around telling the truth about what she saw. And no, you weren't a child. You were a teenager. Who you were doing was a child, more than likely groomed by you whilst you were babysitting.
She didn't know that me and the girl were actually willingly doing shit with each other for years.
Remember, I said to make a mental bookmark of the sister seeing and catching them for the first time? And then I mentioned that we'll get back to the babysitting over years and the grooming. Well, this is where we will bring that up in this very statement that he makes. Now, he says here that he and the girl have been willingly doing this with each other for years. So just let that sink in. If the girl is 8 and he got caught while she was 8, and he's been doing this for years as their babysitter, only just being caught by his sister, then he's been grooming this child since she was what? 5, 6, 7? I know I'm taking you to a dark place here, but think about the dates and the ages. If he just got busted whilst he was a teen and not yet an adult, and the child apparently, according to him, knows what they are doing and wants it, ergo, he's groomed that child. But from what age? Oh yeah. Your head just exploded, didn't it?
Because we're not related and we were rebelling against our parents.
So what? That doesn't make it okay. Plus, I call bullshit on that because that's just some kind of excuse you think works. But when you look into this and unravel it, none of those things you've said make sense or even hold water. And yet you seem to think it does.
So with my sister spreading that rumor for so long.
Hang on a minute. You said that she busted you. You said that. She saw you molesting. So it's not a rumor. It's fact.
And the girl even going along with it and saying that that's what I did too, because she was embarrassed and didn't want anybody to know that that she was willing to do it. That she was the reason why it was even happening in the first place. She didn't want that part to be known.
Oh, imagine my shock. A child is too scared to come forth and let people know what has happened, or that they were groomed, or you've told them to shut up. But there may come a time and a day when that child, or rather those children, will be old enough to remember what happened, how it happened, and then come forward and report it. I pray that day happens soon.
So she went along with my sister.
So she went along with your sister. So what you're essentially saying is one of your victims one of your molested children that you were babysitting came forth when the sister busted, or rather rescued her from you molesting her, and the victim agreed that you molested her. So that's the victim saying you did it and the sister seeing you doing it. But that's all rumor, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what he did. He molested me. No, I didn't. You know I didn't.
Based on what you've said in this video, what's come out of your own mouth, I'd have to disagree with you and say that you did do these things, and now you're trying to worm your way out of it at any cost.
You know you were the one that initiated me, and we were both underage.
You know, repeating a lie over and over does not suddenly make it true. You weren't underage. You were a teen. You knew what you were doing. You knew what consent was. You were a babysitter. It was your responsibility to look after children, not groom them so that you could fuck them. And because you've been busted, you're trying to blame the little girl? Seriously? That's what you're doing? You're lucky that you weren't a legal adult at the time. That's probably the only reason you're not charged.
So just because I got busted doing what you told me you wanted me to do to you that night.
Yeah, keep spinning that wheel. It'll work. Just keep spinning it.
I have to suffer because you don't want the truth to be known, what really happened.
Stop blaming the victim. I mean, she's told people what you did. You molested her, which you did. And at that age, doing it for years, remember, going back, she gets younger and younger. This would be a grooming. So yeah, you're suffering because the truth is out there. It doesn't matter if you groomed her to love getting her bean flicked or not. She's a fucking child, and you took advantage of that in a position of power. Just man up and own the fucking shit.
Because you're embarrassed to let the family know what really happened.
You really think that this is working, don't you? I mean, seriously, dude, Cecil, it doesn't fucking matter if the child is embarrassed or not. You took advantage of the child.
That we were both willingly underage and doing sexual shit to each other.
No, you weren't underage. I just have to keep jumping in and reminding the audience that's watching. And you know you weren't underage. You weren't technically an adult, but you weren't a child. You were a teenager.
Kids do shit that they know they're not supposed to do when they're young.
Yeah, that's true. But Cecil, it's things like I might go jump in that lake that I'm not meant to be going into, or stay out and sneak out after dark, or I might steal that chocolate bar. Not, I think I might suck the cock of my babysitter, because that's what every 8-year-old wants to do. Come on, mate. Try again.
It's okay. It's okay to admit it. It's okay to come out about it. We're all human. None of us are perfect.
You're certainly not.
Okay, so with my sister spreading that bullshit.
But it's not bullshit, and you know it's not.
For one thing, my sister would say, oh, he's a child molester behind my back, but then turn around and tell me to my face and behind my back that I'm her favorite brother.
Irrelevant.
My sister was molested and raped since the time she was 2 years old. So in her mind, every man is a child molester.
Whoa. That was something you didn't need to share. I'm sure your sister wouldn't appreciate you sharing something like that. That's very disgusting, and I'm sorry that that's happened to your sister. But if it has happened, then she would know exactly what it's like. And seeing you do that to a young girl, a young child, that would definitely set your sister off. No wonder she threw something at you. My God, man, you just don't know when to keep your mouth shut, do you? And as for you thinking that that's all she thinks when she sees men, that's on you. Not her.
Every man is in her eyes.
According to you.
So since that rumor, I told my friend, my partner Rhyme Gutter, about it. And one time he got mad at me when me and him fell out and we wasn't friends for a while. He told Intense that bullshit.
My friend did this. My friend did that.
And at that time, even Greg Gutter Music didn't even know the details of what really happened. I tried to tell him, but he wasn't going to tell that part when me and him was enemies at the time. He was just trying to hurt me back in 2011. When me and Greg was not friends for a while, for whatever reason, we fell out. He went to Intense, took his side on the whole Cecil Crack Corn diss song and all that shit, and spilled some shit that he didn't know he was talking about at the time.
No one cares.
This is before me and Greg was really ever became kind of close. It's before we really got to really know each other a little bit. It became kind of tight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. You became poo jabbers.
I'm not knocking Greg. I'm not knocking Intense. Intense was just speaking on things.
No one cares.
That he did not know the true details of. Even though Intense did meet the girls that supposedly this happened.
Well, if Intense met the children, then there's 3 witnesses now that know they're underage.
They could say whatever they want to you, Mitch. I know the truth and the girls know the truth.
And the truth shall set you free.
It was not against her. What do you call it? It's when a woman allows you to have sex with her or whatever.
The word you're looking for is consent. And children can't consent.
But there was never any intercourse between me and those girls.
So you say.
There was never any oral sex between me and those girls.
So you say.
It was all just touching.
Stop! Don't touch me there. This is my no-no swear.
Kind of playing house stuff like little kids do.
Playing house, playing doctor is very different to what you were doing.
It was just kissing and touching.
Stop! Don't touch me there. This is my no-no swear.
And it happened rarely. She didn't know that me and the girl were actually willingly doing shit with each other for years. And it happened rarely. And they always initiated it.
Of course they did. The underage children that you've been grooming as their babysitter always initiated it.
You know what I mean? So that's exactly what happened. So if you see Mitch Rice's Intense's videos online where he's talking about, don't make me say the kid thing. Don't make me bring up the kid thing. Well, that's the kid thing.
Stop! Don't touch me there. This is my no-no swear.
Since he never brung up the kid thing, that's the kid thing. And that's exactly what happened.
Of course it was.
It was not against their wishes on what happened between me and the girls.
Of course it wasn't.
We were all underage.
No. Once again, you were a teenager. You knew what you were doing, and you were in a position of power. You were the babysitter. They were children. Children you were meant to protect and look after and keep safe. Not exploit, not groom.
And they initiated it.
Of course they did.
And why is it that the other sister's situation wasn't brought up? It was just the one.
That's a good point. Why wasn't the other sister, who was younger, brought up? Because you babysitted both sisters and you did the same to both.
Because it happened more with the other sister than it did with her.
Oof, what a confession.
Why wasn't the fact that I'm underage, I was underage at the time too, why was that not brought up?
Brought. And you did bring it up. You brought it up many times, but you weren't underage. You were a teenager.
And why is it that I'm not on the sex offenders list?
because you were a teenager, not yet an adult. But that doesn't make you a child, nor does it make you underage. It just means you're not an adult and therefore can't be put on the sex offenders list yet. But from what I've been hearing, keep putting web cameras in your daughter's room. Ooh, you might end up getting your wish and getting on that list, especially now at 42. Because at 42, spying on your daughter who is running around naked in her bedroom, which other YouTubers have got the footage of, there's no way you can claim that you, at 42, are underage. Oh yes, dear viewer, this rabbit hole goes further.
Why is it that I'm not hiding from my family?
To be honest, I'm surprised your family even talks to you. After listening to this video and what you've said about your sister and then throwing your brother under the bus too, oof.
Why is it that none of my families came public and said that I was a child molester and not to listen to my music?
No one gives a fuck about your music, mate. And maybe your family should come out and let the world know. Make the world a safer place.
So for those of you who listen to the Cecil Crack Corn disc, understand that this right here, what I told you, is the God's honest truth coming from the source.
Well, it's a good thing that there is no God. Otherwise, when you get judged, you'd be going straight to hell.
I'm one of the most loyal, realist, down-to-earth people you ever meet.
Couldn't give a fuck, mate. Couldn't give a flying fuck who you are. But mess with children, then you'll not only just get my attention, but many others.
If I have nothing to lose, I'm not going to lie to you. I got nothing to lose.
Yeah, keep lying to yourself, mate.
Well, I got a lot to lose, but...
There you are. That's probably the most honest thing you've said.
I got nothing to gain from lying to you.
Really? So why is it that you're doing video after video after video with your story changing? What was the latest one? That you sleep hump. You sleepwalk and then sleep hump. Fuck off, cunt.
Why is it there's never ever been another case or rumor brought up that I was ever a pedophile? Ever.
What do you mean, ever? What about you spying on your daughter who sleeps in a room that has no door and has a webcam pointed at her so you can see her naked? What about that?
Why is it that the neighborhood kids come down here and play with my daughter all the time, in which they are all the same age as my 6-year-old daughter?
Oh, I can answer this one. Because even though you're a creep, your daughter is able to make friends and you love having her little friends around you. Did I get that one?
I am trusted around little girls.
I don't think you should be.
Girl down the street who plays with my daughter is my daughter's best friend. The other day she said, "Thanks for the cake, Cecil. Hey, won't you fill my belly and feel how full I am from eating?" I said, "No, don't you ever ask another man to fill your belly." Like I teach little kids about pedophile awareness and stuff, and what to look for, and not to let people do certain things to you if they're babysitting or whatever. I look out for babies. I protect kids.
If you say so, I guess we'll let your video and your words speak for themselves, and the audience can make up their own mind.
So let's hope that I never have to make another video about this.
I bet looking back now, you wish you hadn't have said that, since you've made hundreds of videos on this very topic and your story keeps changing. Some of those videos you delete. It's a good thing there's a caring community out there that keeps track of them all and backs them up.
I just felt like, even though it's been 6 years since the shit was put out there publicly by Intense,
Well, it may have been 6 years since this incident, but the webcam spying on your daughter in her bedroom with no door, running through naked, that's a recent event, isn't it, Cecil?
And I took down all my response videos and everything through the years. I just feel like I just needed to get on here and explain what really happened.
And how's that working out for you, mate?
And tell my side of the story, which is the actual truth.
Oh yeah, of course. The truth, according to Cecil.
That way, for those of you who don't choose to hit play on my music, or those of you who don't want to buy a ticket because you're afraid that somebody might think of you.
Jesus Christ, this guy. He's more concerned about his music and selling his tickets than he is about the subject matter that he has been accused of. That's unfucking believable.
Now that you know the truth, versus hearing it from some rapper who's never spent more than 5 minutes around me in my whole life, who was just trying to get whatever potential support I get from anybody musically, that he was trying to 50 Cent and Ja Rule me is what he was trying to do because he didn't like me.
Or he discovered the truth, thought you were a sick cunt, and wanted to out you, and it had nothing to do with your music.
He looked at me as a threat, a hip-hop threat, because at the time he was in recovery. He didn't want to see anybody else coming up in the city. That's how I felt about it.
Again, hate to break it to you, no one cares.
And since he's seen High Street, Sᴜᴜ and Gutter coming up, he had a little animosity there, even though we supported him. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't.
This is your boy Sᴜᴜ, High Street Music. Don't listen to the bullshit.
No, I would actually suggest people dive in. Go have a look at what order of magnitude Random News, Irish Stevo, and Master Shredder have put together on this guy. Enjoy.
Come and support us at September 16th. September 16th, 2017 at the Thompson House, across the street from Newport on the Levee. We have a show. Gutter might be there. I don't know. He's very busy, but I know me and Baboon will be on stage. I got to sell at least 30 tickets to get a 30-minute set. So if you want to support good local music, man, come and show your support. I'll sign autographs, take pictures, anything you want to do. I'll shoot an interview for you, whatever you want to do with your boy. Sᴜᴜ. Peace.
We've got a saying over here. Yeah, nah, she'll be right, mate. And well, that wraps this one up, guys. That's the end of the entire stream. He can't claim I've taken him out of context, but this is only the beginning. I'm going to link to all 4 channels so you can dive deeper into it. But that's up to you. Suit yourself.
No one told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke you broke, love life the old way. It's like you're always stuck in second gear, when it hasn't been your day, week, your month, even your year. But I'll be
Drop the body right as you can.
My country don't share no borders, 'cause of all the waters that surround our sands. Thank God for our resources, 'cause they are the sources of our wealthy land. Czechoslovakia. Come on. Alright now fellas. Yeah. Now what's cooler than a big cold beer? Ice cold. Here we go. Shake it, shake, shake it, shake it, shake, shake it, shake it, shake, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake, shake it, shake it like a Polaroid picture. Shake it, shake it, shake, shake it, shake it, shake, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake, shake it, shake it like a Polaroid picture.